Alright, this video is to introduce you to drafting. Okay, here are some of the real good quality draftings that you are trying to get yours to look just like. You see their lines are nice, clean, straight, and consistent. You notice that nothing out there except for the lettering is free-handed. Okay, now first things first, we need to get all our supplies. This green is called the tablet. This is a T-square. You want to make sure your tablet doesn't have lumps of tape or anything, that it's nice and clean. Okay, because anything on it is going to transfer through onto your paper. You want to make sure your T-square, the edge, is nice and clean. Don't, just real lightly kind of wiggle it to make sure your head is tight, but don't crank on it or you're going to loosen it up. Okay, so just lightly see, okay, which they all should be good. Now your tablet and T-square are found over here in the drafting kit. Okay, your T-square is obviously right here. Tablet's here. This first drawer right here, you'll find there's some rulers and you have your 30, 60, 90 triangles. Next you will need your drafting packets, which have your drawings 1, 2, and 3 in them. Okay, and blank paper, a ruler, and you'll need tape. The tape generally is found out in the shop somewhere on one of the benches because kids will be using it, or it will be up front with the kids up front. If you can't find it either place, come ask me. Okay, your drafting booklet and the paper will be found up here, the front of the classroom. Okay, your paper, blank paper, will be found right here. Some of your rulers will be right here. And this left column right here will be your Woods 1 drafting packets. On the right side will be Woods 2 packets. Don't get those confused and do the wrong one. I hate to see you do that work. Okay, in the center, in this yellow, is not draftings you're worried about at this point. They're substitute draftings, so forth. So Woods 1 kids will get their packets on this side. Woods 2 will get them on this side. Generally, since of COVID, I will give you a packet and that's yours. If you lose it, then you can grab another one, but there's where your packets are. Okay, this video is designed for you to use it to do things step by step and pause it in between the steps. Okay, so you've got all your supplies now, you're ready to start putting things together. Okay, so what you want to do is listen to a step on the video, pause the video, do that step. Play the next step, pause the video, do that next step. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, I'm right-handed, so I write with my right, so I want to put the head of the T-square on the left. Make sure that edge is good and clean. I'm going to push it up tight to that edge. Okay, tape, I want to get a little bit of tape, get it started. Just about that much. That's it. Rip it. Then I'm going to send that tape on to the next people. I'm going to rip it into 4 little pieces. I'm going to take my clean piece of paper And I don't want to put it way down on the bottom of my drafting tablet, because you see my T-squares hanging off the end. They're real easy for that T-square to get out of square. I don't want to put it way at the top, because that's real easy to get out. So I want to keep my paper near the center of the tablet so my T-square has good solid surface to be on. Okay, I will put my T-square nice and tight. I push it in tight, slide my hand over. See my fingers getting red? That tells you I'm pushing down to hold that T-square nice and square with the tablet. I will bring my paper right up, make sure it is square. I don't want it going underneath. If I need to put my head right above it to eyeball that, I will. Okay, so it is nice and square. Then I will put a hand out here. Do not take that hand off of that until you have it taped down. Okay, get one of your pieces of tape that you put on the edge of your tablet. Put it on the corner of your paper. See how I am not rubbing on the paper, just rubbing the tape down over the green. I still have my hand, I have not taken it off. Take my other piece of tape, rub it down, but not over the paper. Same thing here. Rub it down, but not over the paper. Now I don't want to use big pieces of tape and go clear into my paper, because that is going to mess with my borderline if I do. See, if I have a big piece of tape coming right there, it'll mess with that. We don't want to do that. Okay, so now my paper is nice and square. So as long as I hold that T-square, push it in tight, hold it tight, my line will be square on my paper. I can bring it down, push it tight, hold it tight, slide my finger up, holding it tight. My line will be square on the paper. That makes life so much easier and quicker for drafting. Okay, this edge should be nice and clean. So again, I can push it tight, slide my fingers over. You see my fingers are red. That tells you I'm holding it nice and tight. I keep my pencil straight up and down, not off at some angle where it's trying to get underneath. Nice and straight. See how that was a nice clean straight line? A good way to see if your paper is square, which mine is not, is to bring your T-square down to the bottom, holding it in tight, and check your edge again. Move it around, come down, check. You can see that this is tight, this is not. There's a gap right here. That tells you I did not get that paper square. So I'm going to pause this and redo that. Okay, I've changed my mind. I'm going to show you how the easy way to reset these. Okay, I'm going to pull this tape up, but I'm going to leave it attached to the paper. I'm going to pull it up carefully, leave it attached. Pull one of the bottom pieces up. Careful not to rip your paper, because Mr. Reinhold will take points off on neatness if you do. And I'm going to leave one attached. Again, I'm going to keep my T-square tight, adjust it to where it's nice and flush, and bring that paper down to where it's flush here. Re-put my tape down. You want to try to make sure your tape is nice and flat, so when you go over it with your T-square, it's not hooking. If it does hook, that is where you can lift up with your non-dominant hand, lift up and set it down. The mistake a lot of kids make is they want to use their dominant hand and move the T-square down here. Well, obviously, that is pulling it out a square, and your lines aren't going to be square on your paper. Let's go recheck now, since we've moved it around, and see if we're square. By golly, yes we are. We're good and square. So now, let's see the difference in our lines here. See how that line is nice and tight? I'm going to take the phone, bring it down close so you can see. Focus in here, phone. Having a hard time focusing. There we go. See how it's nice and tight? And our line goes across. That's not good. That's what we don't want to see on your paper. Okay, so this is just a practice paper to get you going anyway, so I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so now the difference in your lines. We want to always keep that tight. Like I said, we don't move it here. So we get some kids who want to hold this tight here, and then come down this end and want to hold it tight. Well, that's hard on that T-square because that starts tweaking this head out. Okay, so we always move it here, get it where we want, slide our hand over holding it tight. Draw our line. Okay, you have two types of lines that we're going to worry about. We're going to do a real light line with no down pressure on the pencil, which is a construction line. You can barely see that line. Perfect. Okay, that way we can come in and erase it nice and clean, and when Mr. Reinwald's grading, he won't know that line was ever there. So if you make mistakes or you have overhangs, you can erase those overhangs real quick and easy, and Mr. Reinwald won't know they're there, so he won't take points off. If you draw it dark and you have to come in and do erase an overhang, Mr. Reinwald will still see that and he'll take points off on your neatness. Okay, so you want to work on line quality. I want you to do at least a line nice and light that you barely see. Then I want you to do a darker line, which is called an object line. A light line, construction line, a dark object line. Now you want to look at your line, see the thickness of your line. You want dark, sharp, and crisp, not fat and fuzzy. Even with this mechanical pencil, I'm kind of getting a little bit of a fat and fuzzy line. Now I was taught to slowly roll my pencil, and you want to get how much pressure to put down. If you put too much down pressure, you're going to get a fat fuzzy line, period. So you want to figure out the right down pressure. Okay? Try some lines going up and down. Push T-square up tight. Slide your hands up. A light construction line. A darker object line. Light construction line. Dark object line. My best quality line on this paper is this last one I just did. Dark, sharp, and crisp. Not fat and fuzzy like this line over here. Dark, sharp, and crisp. Construction line wise, this one probably right here. You can barely see it. That's great. Now I want you to mess with a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Okay? You don't use a 30, 60, 90 triangle out here like this. I'm going to pause until that air compressor is done. Alright, I'm back. The air compressor shut off. Okay, this triangle, if you just take it out here and draw a line, you're guessing at what angle it is. Okay, so you always got to put your T-square tight, hold it, bring your triangle tight. Now the shallow angle here is a 30. The steeper angle is a 60. If we put your triangle like this, T-square tight, triangle tight, that's a 90, that's a 30. Okay? So let's do some practicing with it. Let's, I don't know, draw a line right here, real light construction line. Let's T-square down, triangle tight to it. Let's come off that line this way a little ways. Take your triangle, roll it over. Let's do a 30 off that same point that way. Nice and light. Oop. See that little ding? I had a ding in my triangle, so I've got to watch that. Just draw where it's nice and clean. Okay, let's come down. I'm gonna move my triangle like this. Now, if I move it this way, that's a 60, that's a 30. So let's come, I don't know, right here. Take my triangle, roll it the other way. T-square tight. Let's come off that bottom point. Come up. Okay, so we kind of made like a little diamond. Let's just get used to running it. Let's clean spot on my triangle. Let's go that way. Flip it the other way. Let's go that way. Oop, I see again, I caught right on that bad spot. You gotta erase that, move where it's clean. Let's go this way. Right, line back up. Let's do one that way. Check, make sure it's clean, bring it in. That way, we can come back. Just get used to running it. That's the first thing we're gonna do. We're not even gonna worry about our ruler right now. Okay, we can come just like that. Get used to operating it. So your first practice paper I want you to do is just what I did right there. I want you to get used to using the how-to video. Watch me do a step, pause your video, do that step. Play your video, pause it, do that step. Okay? That's it for this video.